What's up and welcome back to Metalhead Car Show. BMW's made some awesome cars throughout the years. They've shown they can be versatile what they make really easily, and they've nailed it at their M brand cars. But the one genre of car they've never really been able to nail is the supercar. They've all been awesome, but none of them have really worked. So today, let's get right into it and see why. Jumping back 51 years, it's 1972, the Munich Olympics is happening, and BMW wants to build a concept car to show off during the Olympics. So they show off the BMW Turbo.
Event. What's the relevance? The relevance and the fascination, you should always remember that when a production car is new, comes on.
Having gull-wing doors, pop-up headlights, mid-engine, a turbo 4-cylinder, and this cool paint job, this thing was a showstopper. It also ended up being one of the first and very few wedge-shaped German cars ever. But unfortunately, BMW wasn't financially set to make this, and it was too costly to make, so they had to scrap the BMW Turbo. Fortunately, it didn't all go to waste. The engine ended up being used in the BMW 2002 Turbo just 1 year later, and the dream of making a mid-engine supercar lived on. Jump forward to 1978. BMW wants to go racing and take out Porsche, so they actually hire Lamborghini to help them make a homologation supercar to let them go racing. Using a lot of inspiration from the BMW Turbo with that wedge shape, and now using a brand new 3.5 liter straight six making like 280 horsepower, this thing is shaping up to be a great race car. But unfortunately, Lamborghini went bust. They actually had to stop helping BMW make this because they couldn't afford to do so. So tale has it BMW had to break in and steal the molds for this. That sounds pretty far-fetched. I don't know if it's fully true, but so the tale goes. But that led to BMW being able to make this thing themselves. Unfortunately, when this thing was actually ready to go into racing, rules changed and this thing wouldn't have been competitive. It still got into racing, but it ended up being kind of forgotten in time, unfortunately. For a long time, the M1 was this kind of deemed as forgotten supercar that people pushed off to the side. But in more recent years, these things have exploded in value and are now a true collector's item.
But in 1978, an unlikely name threw their hat into the ring with a car that has since become as exotic and legendary as anything with a horse or bull on the hood.
But due to what was the failure of the M1, BMW chose not to do a mid-engine supercar for a long time. But jump forward to 1991 and BMW tries it again. BMW brought out the BMW Nazca by Intel design, making the C2 and the M12. These two cars used variations of the 5-liter V12 they were using and the 5.6-liter V12 they were using, which were later used in the BMW 8 Series car. Now, BMW had plans to put this in production, something they did really want to do, but they actually had fear from the M1 due to it was such a failure at that point that they didn't feel comfortable actually making this and pushed it off to the side. What we got from this was 2 coupes, a roadster, and another coupe in blue that was sold to the greedy car abuser, Sultan of Brunei, that was likely sitting in a garage rotting with the rest of his cars and then sold in 2011. But now we jump to 2008. In 2008, BMW unveiled the BMW M1 Homage. This is supposed to be a beautiful blend of past and future coming together to make this modernized BMW M1. Now I say M1, but they said it was also heavily inspired by the BMW Turbo as well, and we got this absolutely gorgeous mid-engine supercar. Now back then there was rumors of this going into production, and we'd actually have a new M1, but unfortunately that was never the plan. It was always supposed to be a concept car, kind of celebrating the past, and it's just another concept car, unfortunately. This one stung a little bit more, because for me personally, I got to watch this thing come out. I got to see the excitement online when it was first shown off, and everyone loved it. Everyone wanted it to come out. And being 2008, this thing likely would have been using the V10 from the very reliable BMW M5 and M6. Totally wouldn't have been a disaster at all. No. But then, somehow, in 2014, we actually got the BMW i8. Butterfly doors, mid-engine, decent power, the looks, This thing was a legit mid-engine supercar from BMW. Sure, it made less power than a Mustang or a Camaro, but that's aside the point. For the 5 people who don't know, the BMW i8 used a turbo 1.3-liter 3-cylinder connected to a hybrid system, which made a collective 369 horsepower. Inherently, it really wasn't a slow car at all, but I have heard once batteries start kind of dying, it tends to start getting slower and slower around a racetrack. Now, these things were also probably the most controversial sports car on the market at that point. It was a hard sell saying it was a 3-cylinder and saying it was also $150,000. Along with that, not a lot of people loved the looks. Some people said it was just kind of obnoxious and way over the top for what people actually wanted, especially noting it was also in Porsche 911 territory, which it's a pretty restrained car. Pretty restrained car that would also smoke it around a racetrack. So what happened? BMW pulled the plug on the i8 in 2020. Over the course of 6 years, it sold 20,000 cars, which for a controversial car that costs $150,000, it's really not that bad. But BMW deemed the i8 didn't quite fit into the future they wanted for BMW, and it kind of priced itself out of existence. Truly a shame, because I thought that was one of the coolest looking BMWs ever made. But right before the i8 died, 2019, BMW showed off the M Vision Next.
In this vehicle, the Vision M Next, we are showing that BMW is and always will be about a very involving driving experience.
Again, butterfly doors, the in-your-face looks, 600 horsepower, and a lot of really cool tech in this thing. I've seen some people show prices for this thing around the internet, and that it was actually supposed to come out this year in 2023, but unfortunately, it's just a concept car. Ultimately, BMW isn't making this due to this would be way too damn expensive to put into production, and it wouldn't have worked. And it's truly a shame. 50 years of trying, 50 years of development from one of the best manufacturers on the entire planet, and I think collectively, we got more Chevy SSRs than we did mid-engine BMW sports cars. Weird comparison maybe, but yeah, get over it. It'll probably be EV, but maybe one day it'll actually happen, and we'll actually get at that point, mid-engine BMW sports car. But what do you think? Do you think BMW could have made some truly incredible cars with the mid-engine sports car layout? Or do you think it doesn't matter and it's not their jam, so we should just move on from the idea? Let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed what you've seen. I post on Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday, and I'll see you later.